In this episode, we're meeting with Michelle Mone, who was named as the most powerful businesswoman in the UK. Michelle, thank you for joining us today.
You're very welcome.
Like many others around the world, I share tremendous respect for you, from humble beginnings in Glasgow to building an enormous global empire. Can you please take us back to those days and your fears and aspirations at a young age?
Well, yes, I'm from the East End of Glasgow. Quite a tough upbringing, incredible people, working class, but would do anything for you. And sadly, my wee brother died when I was about 8, and I decided to get a job when I was 10. I started up a paper round in the East End of Glasgow when I was 11. I had 17 teenagers working for me, and then when I was 12 I got a job in a fruit shop. 13 I got headhunted by a sweetie shop across the road for 10 pence more an hour. So I worked every day after school, and my father, when I was 15, got confined to a wheelchair, a spinal disease, so he was paralysed from the waist down, and I left school at 15. No qualifications, nothing, but huge drive and determination and a can-do attitude. And I did a bit of modelling for a few years, wasn't that good. Not as good as some of our Ultimo models like Helena Christensen, Rachel Hunter, Kelly Brook, Mrs. Bublé, Michael Bublé's wife, Rosanna. But I did okay, and then I got a job with Labatt's, the beer company, Canadian beer company, and I started off as an admin girl. And I always believe that, set yourself a goal. Get yourself a book, keep it in your bag, take yourself every day, your personal goals, your business goals, and keep focused. And if you're not successful, don't blame others around you. Don't blame him, her, that situation. Blame yourself, because you are in control of your life and you only live once. So I decided that I was going to get to the top of Labatt's, get myself promoted 15 times within 3 years, and I actually did it within 2 years. And I was basically running the whole of Scotland for Labatt's.
Can you talk to us about the little book that you carry every day with your goals?
Yes, it's just a small book, and I keep it in my bag, and I just try and stay as focused as I can, because before you know it, it will be bedtime, and you think, where did the day go? Did I do all my tasks? So I keep looking at it, and all my personal things to do with the family, I make sure that I get them done. I do my best, but I'm not superwoman. If I don't do them, then it has to carry on to the next day. And all my business goals as well, what I want to achieve. And I have a monthly plan, a yearly plan, etc. But that book does go everywhere with me, and I'd hate to lose it.
And if we go back to your father being confined to a wheelchair and that impact on your life as well as your whole family's life, how much of that would you say drove you to become an entrepreneur and really ignite the ambition and passion within you to pursue that path?
Everyone says to me, Michelle, if you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, would you be where you are today? Who knows? Who knows where I'll be tomorrow? All I know is that I was hungry for success. I grew up in a culture where it was always, you can't do this, and you can't do this, and I thought, why? I always questioned it. Why? Why does it matter where you're from? Why does it matter, what money you have? Why does it matter what education you manage to get? Does that mean that you're a failure? You could be from the toughest area, as I was, the best area, the best people. We would, you'd chap the door at midnight for some sugar, and they would give you. Or you can leave school at 15 like I did, and maybe if you're not from money, it doesn't mean that your life is over. Life is very special, and we're all God's people. And when I'm sitting with Prince Charles, because I sit on the board of the Prince's Trust, I sometimes used to get nervous, and my mum always used to say to me, Michelle, he's a human being like you. He goes to the toilet just like everyone else. So, does that make him more special than anyone else? Does it make him more special than the people who are sleeping in the street? We're all God's people, and that's the way I think.
And what's it like, the Bra Queen meeting the future King of England and getting an OBE from the Queen herself?
I know. Well, I just think, I'm a big fan of the royal family. I think they do so much for our country. And I really think that Prince Charles is a very switched on, hard-working guy. He doesn't sit about, and he's really passionate about all his, I think he's got 21 charities now, and he really does make a difference. He doesn't just put his name to it, he works at it. And when I got the letter from the palace, from the Queen, to say that I had an OBE, I thought, no way, this is a wind-up. How can a girl from the East End of Glasgow, and I was 38 when I received it, and I thought it was a wind-up. So I got the phone call from the palace to say, will you accept it because you haven't replied, because I thought it was someone winding me up. I said, no, I'll need to call you back, what's your number? And I did call back, and it was Buckingham Palace, and I had the most magnificent day with my family. It was just, I think what it shows to get an OBE is that, if you are a kid from the East End of Glasgow, or the East End of London, or wherever, you can get to the palace, which was just incredible, not just for my family, my mum and dad, my kids, but also for my staff at Ultimo as well.
Well, let's talk about that actually, because you left school at the age of 15, no secondary qualifications, no tertiary qualifications. What's been the greatest lesson of the university of life?
Well, I always say every single day is a school day, and I learn every single day like everyone else. And when people say to me, I'm not successful because of him, because of her, because of that situation, I go, no, you're not successful because of you, because you are in control of your life. So take control, and you only live once. And I used to, get nervous when I was going in to sit with Prince Charles at board meetings and stuff like that when he used to come in. And my mum always said, he could have been from where you were from, and he's a human being. He does the toilet like all of us. So it is true. But if you make a mistake, you should learn from it and never make that same mistake again. If you keep making the same mistake, then there's a problem.
Let's talk about Ultimo and your journey over to Florida and that aha moment. Can you take us back to there, if you can, please?
Yeah, well, I spent about £480,000 developing Ultimo for 3 years of my life, and
wow.
Oh my goodness, my house was up to security to the bank. I was just so focused and so determined. So I've invented 13 inventions for Ultimo. The first one was the famous gel-filled bra, and then Julia Roberts wore it in Erin Brockovich, and went boom, across Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus, you name it, we were everywhere. And unfortunately, I've had my ups and downs, like most. And I'm not ashamed of the ups and downs, and I actually think that the lessons I've learned had made me the person I am today. Although I would like my £1.6 million back. Basically what happened, we took on a distributor, a couple, from Quebec in Canada. Seemed lovely, gave them the distributorship for Canada, America, Australia, and they ran away with £1.6 million of my money. I was so angry at the time, and how can you do this to me? And I almost lost my house, and I had to, rebank the company and everything else. But looking back on it, it has absolutely made me grounded, and I've learned so much from it. And I think if I ever saw them again, I would probably buy them a glass of wine, because I do a lot now for charity, breast cancer, Prince's Trust, children's charities, and I think there was a while where I was becoming a big name in business, and I was getting a bit up myself, and I came crashing down with a bang. And my mum and dad will never, ever, ever allow me to get up myself ever again. So
how does success humble you in that sort of way?
Yeah, I just think that
if I may be frank, Michelle, see you all over the papers, people are talking about you, you're regarded as the female Richard Branson, you're the #1 most influential businesswoman here in the UK. How do you not pick up a piece of paper and actually believe everything that's being said about you?
I don't know, I fight every single day of business. I am so determined. I start new ideas every single week. And I think what drives me, it used to, don't get me wrong, money used to drive me. But then when you pass by some of these, goals that you achieve, it goes on to another level. And it's weird to explain it. It's hard to explain it. But I think it's a fear of failure that keeps me going. And always wanting to make a difference for my customers, always wanting to give them the best fit, the best quality. And I've just started up Ultimo Beauty, Ultimo U-Tan. I've worked on a new tanning product, no streak, no smell of biscuits, etc. It's launched in Boots, Debenhams, House of Fraser, Harvey Nichols, Harrods. It's launched all over. And I just love the challenge. And I try and keep it real. I do my best to keep it real. Because you know what? There's another bigger boat in the sea, much bigger than me. And I still believe that I have not made it yet. I don't believe I've made it yet. I think over the next 5 years, I will.
So on that subject, Michelle, how do you build and diversify a completely broad portfolio but still remain focused on your core product?
We've got a big team now, and we've got CTPs, critical time paths, and we've got brand identity. We own lots of lingerie brands, and I'm just passionate to grow Ultimo into cosmetics, into skincare, into tanning products, into laundry, swimwear, you name it. In my heart, I know what women want. And at the end of the day, every product gets signed off by me. And I'm passionate at what I do.
How involved are you in product development? Are you licensing? Obviously, you've built a name for yourself. Are you licensing your name and simply signing off on that, or are you physically and actively involved in the whole sort of development of those products?
Well, we've got a technical team, we've got a design team, we've got marketing team, PR team, financing. There's all different departments, and they all work away and they all do their inventions and their development as well. But at sign-off stage, we'll have pre-designs, and I'll go, that's an amazing fabric, or no, that's not great, get that out of my office. And they'll either argue with me, get their point across, and I'll go, okay then, we'll give it a punt. Or if I really believe it in here, I'll go, no way, no. So at the end of the day, I do have final sign-off. But I have let go quite a lot. It's difficult when you grow a business, and the control, it's hard to let go. But you can't micromanage. You've got to let your team get on with it and give them KPIs, key performance indicators, and keep it tight, keep costs tight, and have a happy atmosphere as you're going as well.
Creative environment.
Yeah.
And how about let's get back to when you were just launching Ultimo and getting your brand in a department store as big and enormous as Selfridges.
Yeah.
How did that happen, and how did that transform your business and life?
It was a bit of a fluke, to be honest. I was heavily pregnant. I'd spent all that money developing Ultimo. I thought I need to get it into a big department store. Everyone said, oh, you'll never get in there. I went, oh really? I got on a train, went to London, went to see the buyer. She wouldn't see me because I didn't have an appointment. I waited in the buying office for her. She finally came out, I think, to tell me to go away. And I said, please, I'm 7 months pregnant. I've been developing Ultimo for 3 years of my life. I'm £480,000 in debt. Please try this bra on. And she tried it on, and she says, this is the best cleavage bra I've ever tried. And that was it. And then, Julia Roberts wore it, and Erin Brockovich. We launched all over the world. And then, ups and downs. £1.6 million I lost through the distributors that had America, Canada and Australia. But, I've had incredible times, like my OBE, like, launching 13 inventions and just starting tanning.
But that's just another example of how desperation has really driven you to get on a train
Yeah.
Get over to London and sell your product.
Yeah, get on it. And, I think that people should always think big. Never think small. Small things will happen. You think big things will happen.
And let's talk about that period, actually, because obviously quite exciting. But let's talk about the mother, the maternal aspects. Because you were pregnant at that stage, and there's a lot of women out there that would love to be entrepreneurs, single women, and then there are mothers also. How do you manage and juggle all that?
I just think, I'm not superwoman. I'm just a normal mum like everyone else, apart from I go out to work, but there's a lot of working women out there too. And you just have got to be very, very well organised. I organise my house so everyone knows where everything is. Everyone's got the list of what needs done. The gardener, the driver, the nanny, the housekeeper, everything else. And don't get me wrong, when I started the business, I had no money for all of these people, and I had to rely on family to help. So I just think it's all about taking a small step at a time. And tomorrow's a new day. If you don't finish everything in that day, don't beat yourself up. Try a bit harder the next day.
But how do you manage, and I think a lot of the mothers out there are challenged in this sort of way, how do they manage quality time with their children versus quality time with their business, and really being able to properly add value without sort of negating or compromising on one or the other?
Do you know what? It's always a challenge. If I'm honest with you, I could sit here right now and say, I have the balance worked out, and I try and work the balance out every single day of my life. And my kids are very much, loved, and I do take quality time with them when we go away on holiday. And you've still got your BlackBerry, you've still got your phone, sorry to say. But they're having your time, I'm having their time, and I wouldn't say that any of my kids are not loved.
Let's talk about the G word and the word guilt, because that seems, every time I talk to a mother who's an entrepreneur, the word guilt comes out at some sort of stage in the conversation. How much of that does play a part in your life as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, getting worse, day by day, yeah.
It gets worse?
It gets worse, yeah. I went back to work 4 days after I had Bethany. Mm-hmm. 4 days? Oh my goodness, some people who have a cold are off for 4 days, not giving birth. And my emotions were all over the place, and I was expressing milk and getting into meetings and getting all emotional. But you know what? At the end of the day, a lot of people's lives out there are a lot tougher than mine. As long as you can put food on the table for your kids, you can put a roof over their head, you can give them love, life's not that bad. And I just have to think that I have given my kids a lot, and could I have done it better? Yeah, probably. But I'm a human being and I do learn, and if I was to do it all again, would I go back to work 4 days after? No, but when your house is up security to the bank and you're in a lot of debt, you have to do whatever you need to do.
And let's talk about women and entrepreneurship. Why are there a lot of women who are willing to just take the plunge and become entrepreneurs and risk their lives, risk their debt, risk their families, and risk their homes?
I think when it comes to women, it's all about confidence. If we give women that confidence, they're full of ideas. And I'll tell you something, we're much better at multitasking than you guys. We are. We're masters at it. But I think it's all about confidence, and I think, it's different for women, and it's always going to be different for women to men, and we should never compare as both. It's not a competition. I really hate that when people start to get into a competition. For example, men have football, golf, rugby, cricket, all these things. Women don't really have that. I'm not saying that there's women out there that don't enjoy football or rugby, but I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm a big football fan, but we just don't have that social network that you guys do. We tend to meet for lunch or go for shopping and everything else. I hate shopping. So we are different, but I love being a woman. I'd never want to be a guy. I absolutely love when a guy holds a door open for me. That's nice. I love being treated like a lady. So I'd never want to be the same as a guy.
Well, you're an enormous role model, not only for women, not only for girls, but for guys also.
Thanks.
Who are your icons?
Oh, well, I used to have Richard Branson up my wall in the East End of Glasgow. I shared a bedroom. I shared a bedroom with my mum and dad. And my dad used to say, "Get that hairy man off my wall." And I've met him loads of times, and he's a cracking guy. But he was my role model, absolutely. And I always wanted to be him. And when people start saying you're the female Richard Branson, I go, wow, that's a huge compliment. But I do think that there's many more successful businesswomen out there, more successful than me. But it's a compliment when they say you're the female Richard Branson, because that's good. And anyway, we're both blonde, so there you go. Stick a beard on me and I could do stand-ins for him.
Oh God. Okay. So, what advice would you have for people who don't have that facility or the luxury to fully dive into entrepreneurship? Is there such a thing as a part-time entrepreneur and a full-time entrepreneur?
The big debate is, are you born with it? Can you create entrepreneurs? I think a lot of the very, very successful ones are born with it. But you can teach certain skills. But if you don't have that sheer determination and drive and that can-do attitude, then, and being able to take a risk, entrepreneurs take the most incredible risks. I take risks all the time. Then you'll never be able to teach that, I don't think.
At what stage, though, should an entrepreneur sort of say, okay, well, I'm happy to take the risk, and happy to go through the sort of failure and success process, etc. But at what stage should they sort of resign to the madness and say, you know what, I've risked too much now, I've had to claim bankruptcy, or I've had to... At what stage should an entrepreneur re-enter the workforce and face reality? Because there's something about entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs that they are optimists of the greatest kinds to their own detriment. At what stage should you sort of depart?
Oh, I was... everyone told me to give up when the distributor ran away with £1.6 million of my money, and I fought to the end. And everyone said, but, every bank is saying no to you. You're going down. And I said, no, I'm not going down. And I fought tooth and nail to keep the company going, and I managed it 15 minutes before we were about to get shut down. Sometimes, you do have to give in if you've explored every single avenue. But I do think there's always a way. I do. I believe that.
What would you say was the best management and leadership decision you've ever made?
I think putting heads in as departments when I used to be the heads, if you know what I mean. I think putting managers in, directors in, but you can only get to that stage when the company gets to a certain size. And I think the hardest decision for me was to stop micromanaging. That is a big, big step for me. I wanted to know everything that was going on, and then we just set the department's KPIs and the targets, and we let them go off and develop and grow their departments.
And what was the worst management or leadership decision you've ever made?
Trying to be a control freak. I never ever used to be a good manager, to be honest, because I always expect everyone to go at my pace, but I've had to learn that, sometimes people out there take 4 weeks to do it, where I expect them to do it in 4 hours, and that's just not the case. So I've learned a lot over the years. So
what's the golden key to delegation then?
I suppose trust. Yeah, you've got to trust your members of staff and your team. And I think if there's trust there, then they can go on and they feel that they're being trusted as well.
What would you say is the greatest lesson you've learnt in life, and one that you would pass on to your child if he or she decided to become an entrepreneur?
Successful people should always give something back, whether it's charity work to their staff or whatever, or you should never be successful. And work hard, work the hardest you can work, play the hardest you can play, and always give something back.
And let's talk about you giving back and Ultimo giving back. Can you talk to me about some of your CSR or some of your philanthropic pursuits?
Yeah, well, I try and do as much as I possibly can. Don't get me wrong, I can do more. You know, everyone can do that bit more, but I try and do my best. And I've not given away, you know, it's people that have given away, you know, 100, 1,000 times more than I have, but I've given away what I could afford. And I do help a lot with breast cancer and cancer campaign, local charities in Scotland like Cash for Kids, and obviously the Prince's Trust and Make-A-Wish, etc. So I try and do my bit. And I would love to one day, you know, when I sell out Ultimo and I'm finished, you know, business-wise, I'd love to get involved a lot more in making a difference. That would be incredible. But I absolutely love inspiring people and saying to them, look, if you're a man, you're a woman, you're from a deprived area, you didn't manage to get an education, you've got no money, you can do it, you will find a way of doing it. And I love trying to, you know, make a difference to people's lives and inspire them. That's what I really get off on.
So Michelle, you've been named as the most powerful woman in business here in the UK, often regarded as the female Richard Branson. You work closely with Prince Charles. You've been awarded an OBE by the Queen.
Yeah.
What's next?
Do you know, I still don't think I've made it yet. Honestly, I think in the next 5 years then I'll do some incredible stuff. Let's hope, you know, if God spares me. Life is good, you know. I'm going through a divorce. I own the company with my husband, and it's a horrible situation to be in. So I've had a tough year personally this year, and I've really felt it. But I'm getting over there. I'm getting over it, and hopefully there's a lot more to come.